Councilman Arona, Graham, Councilwoman Trujillo are present in chamber, and Councilman Carrasco is on via Teams. So we do have a quorum. I will at this time ask for public comments. No public comments. We will go on to our non-consent agenda. Discuss, consider the 2026 property tax rate calculation and proposed tax rate for Town of Pecos City, Strategic Goal 6, Sound Governance and Fiscal Management. Heather Ramirez.
Mayor and Council, if you'll give me a minute, I was going to share a presentation with you all, but I don't think we have the ability to do both at the same time, so I'm going to have to print let me print to share if you just give me a second.
Did Councilman Carrasco get it as well, Heather?
No.
Maybe email it to him. So
That's what we're doing right now.
okay, thank you.
Did you email it to this? One more thing to email the new worksheet. The new worksheet. Can you email the tax rate calculation worksheet to Carrasco?
Councilman Carrasco, Wendy's going to be emailing you the PowerPoint and an updated tax rate calculation worksheet.
Okay. Thank you.
Then I also have, we also have resin joining us. He should be on the phone if we have any questions. Okay, so the first thing I do want to share with you all is in front of you and in your email, Councilman Costco, you're gonna have a brand new tax rate calculation worksheet. It has been updated. We went and double checked the work that had already been done. We had our resin went and checked it. I mean, Deandra went and checked the amounts that resin was unable to go double check, like our debt amount and our amounts from last year. So the most important paper is the very last page. If you'll go to the very, very last page of the tax rate calculation. The no new revenue tax rate did not change. The no new revenue tax rate is 0.48318. The voter approval tax rate is 0.43441. And the de minimis rate is 0.46715. If you'll remember the de minimis rate, it's a rate that a municipality under a population of 30,000 can utilize. This rate doesn't mean that it's not a mandatory rate. We don't have to use it, but it is an option for cities with a population of under 30,000. So the tax rate calculation sheet has been reviewed by an attorney and by Deandra and verified numbers, and these are the final 3. Okay. The PowerPoint, Councilman Crosby, did you receive the PowerPoint? Okay. You emailed it to him, right? Okay. So, okay. Sorry, I had planned on having it up here. And we do have a working budget worksheet. I wanted to kind of share with you all the rates if we played with them and what they mean. So forgive me for not having my live calculations in front of you. Okay, if you'll turn the page, again, it's just a repeat of the calculated tax rates. I left the proposed tax rate because that's what we had originally discussed during our budget worksheets,
Which was the de
workshops,
minimis at that time.
which at the time was the de minimis. So I left that as the proposed because that's what was discussed. As you can see, that discussed rate, which was the de minimis at the time, is still below the no new revenue tax rate of 0.48318. I know the question was asked if the city can increase taxes if we don't have our audits up to date. Redson's on the phone, so he can verify. As long as we don't adopt anything above the no new revenue tax rate, which that proposed amount at the time was below the no new revenue tax rate. Okay.
So what is the voter approved tax rate? Why is it so much lower?
The voter approval tax rate
What was it for last year?
on the 0.43441.
Uh-huh.
So I guess that's the question, Resin. Resin, are you on the phone?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so the question is how come our voter, go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm just questioning the voter approved rate. Is that, I mean, to me, that sounds like that's what needs to be adopted. That's voter approved, but is that not actually the commutation or whatever that they're looking for?
No. I haven't.
There are certain instances in which the voter approval rate would be lower than the no new revenue rate. I think that's a certain situation that you see here. And understanding the voter approved rate is made up of the, obviously, M&O tax rate and the debt rate. I think one thing that is seen here is that once you see the property tax valuation decrease, once you see the property appraisal values decrease, then that you'll naturally see the increase in the third rate. And then opposite, if the appraisal values increase, then you typically see a decrease in some of the tax rates. Now, just in my brief overview of the worksheet and verifying some of the numbers, it does seem that the no new revenue rate is the highest available rate to the city, which you guys would be able to adopt without going and seeking the approval or an election at this time.
What did you say about we're behind in our audits, and I've not seen that bill, but it was brought into play last year, about September. I don't know what its definition of you can't raise your property taxes if you're behind delinquent on your audits. Do you know the definition of that, President?
Well, yes, that was recently passed by Senate Bill 1851, and it's currently codified in the Local Government Code, Section 103.005, and it defines the no new revenue tax rate the same as the Chapter 26 of the tax code. So what it is saying in that section is that if the Attorney General determines that the city has not had its records and accounts audited and an annual financial statement prepared based on those audits, and that it hasn't filed or made those available in the office of the secretary or clerk, then the city cannot pass the ad valorem tax rate that exceeds their no new revenue tax rate. In this situation, I think it, favors it or it doesn't either the city, because in this particular fiscal year, the no new revenue tax rate is the highest rate. That may not always be the case. I know what's typical or what's regular is that you often see the no new revenue rate as kind of either the baseline or middle option. In most scenarios, the voter approval rate is typically higher. And then for those cities in which the dependent applies, which the town is one of them, it tends to fluctuate as either lower than the no new revenue rate, or it's right in between both the no new revenue and voter approval rate.
Correct. And just to kind of piggyback a little bit on resin, the reason our no new revenue rate is a little bit higher than what we all expected, because as you know, valuations this year, there was a decrease. We had a $101 million decrease in valuations. So that helped bump up the no new revenue rate. So after we updated the three rates, the sheet I want y'all to go to is the very last, it's the second to the last in the PowerPoint, where we're gonna do a revenue comparison table. On that revenue comparison table, I want you to remember this number. When you do the math on your own, this is at a 98% collection rate. It's not at 100%. And that's what we do our budget on. We budget that we're gonna collect. 98%. The tax rate calculation worksheet will use actuals, and they've collected at 92. At a 92% collection rate. On the first line, our current year tax rate right now is the 0.44259, which in that budget we propose to bring in $6,247,040. The proposed rate that we were proposing during our budget workshops was that 0.48118, which was going to bring in a total revenue of $6,311,345, which I wrote wrong, but it's actually a decrease. It wasn't an increase, it's a decrease. We're going to bring in $64,305 less compared to last year. But since we have finalized numbers, oh wait, let me go to the third sentence, to the third line, sorry. If we adopt the same exact rate that's current right here, we're gonna be adopting a rate that shows, we're gonna be bringing in $441,857 less compared to last year. And if you'll remember, our capital outlay that we have for general fund, which we have not zero budgeted, but all the capital outlay requests, I think we ended up with 1.2 million to fund.
Correct, 1.2.
Yeah, $1.2 million to fund, and that was at the 0.48118. On the very last line, the de minimis rate, today's de minimis rate, which if we adopt the de minimis rate, it is 0.02 cents than we were proposing. It's still an increase, but it is less than what we were originally proposing. That difference will only be $119,718 less revenue brought in this year compared to last year. So today we're proposing the new de minimis rate, but the reason for the de minimis rate, and if you'll remember, is because we have a population of less than $30,000. They call it the fire department rate that cities with a population of under 30K can adopt, and that's to fund, for example, things like it's to purchase a fire truck. Which we're not purchasing a fire truck. That was the terminology used. So that's the rate we're proposing to adopt. If we do adopt the de minimis rate, the reason we're doing this so early and it has to be done by October 24th is to give the taxpayers, it doesn't mean that we have to automatically call for an election, but it does give the taxpayers the right to petition to call for it. And that's why we're discussing the tax rates so early. But because of our audit trending, the de minimis rate is still less than the no new revenue rate, which we cannot exceed.
When did most of our valuation decrease? What area was that in? Was it oil and gas, or was it?
So RCAD actually, when they sent their preliminary numbers, they sent like a 2-pager on what caused the valuations to decrease this year. And so the tax base is being pulled in different directions. They're saying that the oil and gas values are weakening because petroleum prices fell and the production income assumptions are lower this year, even though residential values and housing demand remain strong. So they also said that countywide, the district expects lower taxable value in the mineral properties and about a 4% decline in the industrial, utility, and pipeline business personal property. And the other reason they said was that drop is partially tied to House Bill 9, which brings the exemption up to $125,000 now off business personal property per location. So that was the main reason for valuations decrease, which it is hard to understand when.
And then if
Go ahead.
Okay, I was just gonna add in really quickly, another reason why your voter approval rate may be lower than the new revenue rate is if you have a decrease in your debt service, that tends to make the non-new revenue tax rate be higher than the voter approval tax rate.
And so our debt did incur. We did get a combination bond last year. You'll remember we have our 2025 bond rate. So that increased also compared to last year. That could be, and that is another reason why the no new revenue rate is where it's at.
Okay, so you are proposing that we do the de minimis, right?
Yes.
So can you redo the calculations on the home values on the proposed rate on the last page
Yes.
for us?
Oh, yes. Will you give me a second?
Yeah.
Okay, I can do it live and you can see it, but I gotta do it and print it.
you have any specific services or project needs that are going to be proposed for the budget increase? You think you can have an increase compared to last year? Do you have anything in the radar specifically?
Yes, for our projects, let me go to my budget. Yes, some of the projects that are, sorry. One of the top projects that are in our general fund, where property tax is a revenue source for, is in our police department. We have a repeater radio tower that we're going to be installing, in collaboration with all the other taxing entities. And our portion was gonna be, a little over $500,000 for that project. Some of the other major projects we have was the Maxi Ballpark Phase 1, the actual upgrade of the 2 fields, the concession stands and the restroom, which that was, we have, well, I don't know, we can't fund it right now, but that was one of the projects for 2.5 million. There was another miscellaneous park upgrades throughout the entire park, which ties back again to one of our strategic goals of quality of life. That's a 1.5 million. That includes like your solar lighting, your fencing, your shades, replacements of tables out there. Another one that we might have to go out for funding or bond is the City Hall chambers. So that's on there. That was a 2.3 to get that done. And of course, streets, aside from the street maintenance tax, this does fall under general fund. So anything above the 2 million will need to come be a project. So we have our complete streets implementation at 3 million. The completion of Lincoln Street, the street reconstruction going on over there. And then of course we have a few heavy equipment that we need to get from there, like a motor grader, the pneumatic rubber roller. Those are the main projects in general fund that we discussed during budget workshops.
I think also,
As
Councilman
I said during the
Carrasco
budget
and, I'm sorry.
workshop, as I said during the budget workshop, we need to cut some things out. It's the brand new city hall.
Yes, so.
I'd rather drop that than prioritize from there on down.
Yeah, so some of those things I mentioned, the major ones like the parks and the city hall, those things will probably we won't be able to fund that, the way the budget is right. Those are things we'll probably have to go out for bonding, loans, fundraising, we'll have to find another revenue source to complete those.
Well, what I was about to add, Nicole Farini, Assistant City Manager, for the record, just to support what Heather's talking about and what we discussed during the budget workshops, is that because we saw the valuations go down, what we're really trying to do is keep operations steady. So even in some of the capital projects that Heather mentioned, we're going to need to look elsewhere to be able to execute those projects.
Sure.
But just keeping the city operating, right? Keeping our departments fully staffed, making sure that we're able to continue to provide those services and respond to the requests of the council. One of the things, for example, in the Parks Department that is not a capital project, but rather a professional service, is the Parks Master Plan that gets us ready to pursue additional grant funding and bonds so that we have those estimates in place. And so there's some planning work that is embedded in the budget. But for the most part, when we sat with directors, and y'all recall this from the workshops, we've asked everyone to stay pretty even. And so we're trying to just continue and look towards how can we stabilize operations so that we can execute those projects likely in an FY28 scenario. So there's a little bit of both, Councilman. Yes, the capital projects that Heather mentioned, but also just again, maintaining those operations at the levels that we've established.
Okay, if you'll see the new sheet in front of you, where we're plugging in the proposed de minimis tax rate, Of course, that is a 0.02 cent increase compared to our current tax rate. And just for the public, I know you can't see it, so for the public, at your current rate, if your property is valued at $150,000, with today's tax rate, you're gonna pay $663.88. If council adopts the new proposed de minimis rate of 0.46715, which is a 2-cent increase, you'll end up at the $150,000 valuation, you'll end up paying $700.72, which is a $36.85 increase on the city's portion of your property tax. And of course, if I also did the homestead exemption, so the city does have a homestead exemptions. If it's your homestead, you'll pay less than that. So if your house is valued at $150,000 and you have it homesteaded, then you'll be taxed at $120,000. So the difference between today's tax rate of 0.44259 and if we adopt the minimis rate of 0.46715, you're gonna pay $29.48 difference on if the property's homesteaded. That's what that was. I did put the formula in there for anybody that wants to figure out their own personal property tax, and all you'll do is you'll get the valuation. And if you're homestead, make sure you're plugging in your homestead valuation, and you'll just times that by 0.0046715. And that's how you can figure out how much you're gonna pay in city property taxes next year.
Okay, so but all the budget workshops we did, we were looking at figures with 0.48118 number.
Correct. That's what we did.
So whatever we discussed, then we're gonna have to go down, we have to adjust those budget numbers, so.
Yes, and that's what I wanted to show you live on the screen, but me and Deandra did go in here and adjust those numbers. And I tried to reflect them on the PowerPoint, so you'll see that revenue comparison table. What it does between what we proposed for our revenue budget is we're gonna lose $119,718,000, which won't be a major, that won't be a major hit, but it is less than what we were proposing to bring in for revenue.
It's the next budget workshop that we'll be making some prioritize. You don't do that here today though, do we?
No, we won't do that
Next
today
week.
here, but we could do it at our budget hearing. We can have a final.
That's next week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our first hearing.
No, it is.
Is it the 18th? Yes. It'll be on Tuesday, the 18th. That's our first hearing.
Yes. And so tonight, what I do need action from the council on, one, we have to adopt the tax rate calculation worksheet, which has been triple checked. I've got to turn that into our tab by tomorrow. And then we do have to, state what our proposed rate is going, so that I can start publishing the proposed rate. And then again, if we do decide not to adopt and keep rates the same, we're going to bring in a little over 404. We're going to bring in less. We're going to have a decrease. We're going to lose $441,857 in revenue this fiscal year compared to.
If you're not the same rate.
Yes. And I know last year when I proposed this to council over the last 5 years last year, which is not on here anymore, we had brought down taxes down to about 16 cents. If you look at it today, we're still below where we originally started, which is the 12 cents over the last 4 years. But if we do, I don't even know if I updated this. I didn't, because it still has 0.48. So if we approve tonight, we'll still be 10 cents lower than we have been over the last 5 years.
So if we adopt the rate tonight, we have a chance to amend it later. It was just final.
We're proposing this tax rate. You can when we do our ordinance reading and our tax rate hearing, during those times, council, this doesn't have to be final, but we do have to notify the public that this is our proposed tax rate and give them enough time to petition for an election if that is something we're going to adopt. But the last day, the final, is going to be on August 24th.
Are you asking Councilman Brown? Councilman Brown, yes, for possibility to increase it or decrease?
Just go to the minutes rate. It's 119,000. Rearranged to cut it out. I'd like to make a motion for the minutes rate of 0.46715.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Graham, a second from Councilman Arona to propose the tax rate of the de minimis rate of 0.46715 as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show the motion carries. We have item C2, discuss and consider resolution 26-08-01R, appointing individuals to serve in the capacity of interim city manager, providing for severability and effective date. Heather Ramirez. Did y'all want to go to executive briefly before we?
This is the perfect time to call for an
Okay.
executive session if council wishes.
We need to. And it'd be under personnel matters?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so at this time, we're going to go into executive session for personnel matters under Government Code 551.072. Is that correct? And it is 6:08 p.m.
If you can please have a motion for that, please.
Oh,
I'll make a motion.
Well, should we may also want to do the consultation with the attorney for the next item as well.
Also open it up for both.
okay. I need a motion for both.
I'll make a motion to approve C3, go into executive session.
I'll second. I have a motion from Councilman Arona, a second from Councilwoman Trujillo to go into executive session for item C2 and item C3. C3 will be covered under consultation with attorney, Government Code 551.071. And it is still 6:08 p.m. It is 7:31 PM. Is there anything from executive? Well, I guess we'll just go to item C2. Discuss, consider resolution 26-08-01R, appointing individual or individuals to serve in the capacity of interim city manager, providing for severability and effective dates.
Mayor, make a motion.
Mayor, I'd like to
Go ahead.
make a motion to promote, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to promote Nicole Perini to interim city manager with an agreement and terms to be negotiated within the 6-month interim term.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilman Carrasco, a second from Councilman Arona, to appoint Nicole Farini as in the capacity of interim city manager per his motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show the motion carries. We'll go to item C3, discuss, consider authorizing the mayor or designee to deliver written notice of termination pursuant to the city manager's agreement, strategic goal 5, promote open and consistent communication.
Make a motion, Mayor. To approve. C3. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Make a motion that we table this item until our next meeting, next Thursday.
Second. We have a motion from Councilman Arona, a second from Councilwoman Trujillo to table this item till our next meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show the motion carries. And we have no other business, so we are adjourned, and it is 7:33 PM.